Welcome into Vikings Now. I am your host, RC Maxfield, and preseason week 2 is inching ever so close as the Vikings are trying to bounce back after that horrific loss to the Broncos at home, 33-6. We have your 5 players to watch in week 2 for your Minnesota Vikings. Let's start out with number 5 on the list. Who to watch against the Colts? Cameron Dantzler. Again, a second-year corner in terms of potential, and everything is there for him, right? May not be a starter due to the acquisition of Patrick Peterson and others as well in that secondary, but a guy that is going to be an X factor in that secondary long term, and especially this season for the Minnesota Vikings. Want to see him play better. He got burnt, remember, against KJ Hamler on that 80-yard touchdown pass from Drew Lock. Expect him to be better and expect him to get significant reps in this one against the Colts. Zach Davidson comes in at number 4 on the list. Davidson is fighting for that tight end 3 spot on the roster right now. As everybody knows, Irv Smith Jr. has that tight end 1 spot firm in his grasp. But after that, it's a little shaky. Tight end 2 is probably locked up as well. But Davidson fighting for that tight end 3 spot for the Minnesota Vikings. As the wide receiver group, also something to mention and note as well as listen, outside of Adam Theilen and Justin Jefferson, due to injuries, especially to B.C. Johnson, who is out for the season, there is a lot of what-ifs on this roster. I currently have the Vikings depth chart looking like this going into week 1, where I do think the free agent acquisition of D.D. Westbrook will be the wide receiver 3, but so far in camp, he just hasn't produced to that level yet. So Osborne is the guy to watch as well there, but I do expect D.D. Westbrook, who played a little bit last year, not much due to injury, and now is with the Vikings to be the wide receiver 3 for them come opening week. Now, the next person that I have on this list is, well, backup quarterback, question mark? Is it going to be Kellen Mond? I mean, it looked like it might be Jake Browning, who head coach Mike Zimmer said that since he's vaccinated, that helps to be a backup quarterback. Now, politics aside, right? Kellen Mond is more talented than Jake Browning. It's just, can he get on the field and get those reps? We saw what he did against the Broncos was not that inspiring since they only had 2 quarterbacks in Jake Browning and Kellen Mond. But once he gets back and going and hopefully gets reps in practice and then preseason games as well, I hope that he's QB2, but he is definitely somebody to watch against the Colts this coming up weekend. And now finally at the number 1 spot, it's got to be QB1, Kirk Cousins. We didn't see him in week 1 against the Broncos. You really didn't see a lot of the Vikings starters in week 1 against the Broncos. It was really the Broncos' first team against the Vikings B/C team, kind of in a way. So Kirk Cousins will start against the Colts, presumably, this week in preseason week 2. And you want to see what he can do just because you want to see him knock off that rust from being on the COVID IR list. And hopefully he can come out and really surprise some people. Maybe knock off that rust a little bit in the sheer fact that he hasn't gotten many reps in training camp so far. Now he's going into a game against the Colts defense that has the highest paid linebacker in the NFL and Darius Leonard now, and also guys like DeForest Buckner who can disrupt in the middle of that defensive line. Hopefully he can go in, knock some of that rust off, and be ready for week 1 and even progress a little further into preseason week 3 where we might not even see Kirk Cousins because remember, there's only 3 training camp weeks left till the regular season, and also there's only 3 weeks in the preseason this year to begin with. But hey, let me know, who are you watching for versus the Colts this weekend? I'm going to say Kirk Cousins because I want to see him knock off that rust, but the quarterback position as a whole is very interesting right now for the Minnesota Vikings.